Welcome back folks, my name is LastKnownMeal and today I'm going to give you the most essential tips for starting out in Valheim. The game can be a bit overwhelming at the beginning, but it's paced really well so you won't get too confused. So let's get into it. First things first, the hotkeys. This will make your life easier. When you press X, your character will sit. By pressing Q, your character will auto walk, where you can change the direction by holding the right mouse button and moving the mouse. The character will continue to move. By pressing R, you will unsheath or sheath your weapon, and by pressing C, you will toggle walk or run option. Of course, you can sneak by pressing the left control button. Now keep in mind, your character is saved in a different folder than the worlds or servers, so you can move your character to a different seed you create or your friends create. That includes your skills and everything you have in your inventory. You can always go back to your own world with everything you got, although every time you die, you lose skill points, so don't die. You will always spawn next to the Thing altar. Here is where you put trophies of bosses you defeat to activate their powers, but that's still far away for you, since every biome in this game has a boss, and so does the starting location. Next to your spawn, you will have this altar. We will use it later to spawn a first boss in the game, because by killing this first boss, you can go into a next stage and unlock new stuff. Also, each biome is more difficult and has stronger enemies, so at start I would stick to the Meadows and the Dark Forest, which is also more dangerous because it has trolls. And every time you make a sound like chopping wood, whatever, that sound attracts the beasts, and if a troll is nearby, he will attack you. Also at the beginning, stay away from the swamps, stay away from the plains, especially the plains, and stay away from the mountains. The plains are probably the toughest area in the game, and you will be killed really fast if you get close to it with your starting gear, so just stick to the Meadows and the Dark Forest. At the beginning you won't have anything, and in order to even craft something you will need some stones and wood. You can pick those up everywhere, just look for branches and stones on the ground. Now besides that, you will need flint, and probably a lot of flint at the beginning. Well, Valheim is really conscious towards the location of loot, and the only way you can find flint is close to the water, so look close to the rivers or the beaches or close to the ocean, you will find flint there. Next up, food. On the ground you will see raspberries, blueberries, etc. You can find that almost anywhere on the map. Now your stamina and health won't go up with skills or armor, but rather with food you have in your belly. So if you have better prepared food, you will have more HP, but at start just eat the berries and you can combine multiple food to increase that later on. We're gonna be using those berries to make a jam. Now in the Meadows and around the Dark Forest you will find these towers that have beehives on it. Destroy that, but have some HP obviously, because when you get close the bees are going to attack you, you will get poisoned. But destroy that hive and get the queen bee item. Then go and make your own beehive. This is useful because every few days you will have 4 honey items. You can eat that or use the honey to actually create more stuff, but you will have an endless supply of honey for your needs. Also, by clicking on the map and double clicking on the position, you will make a pointer, so you can name it however. So if you find something good on the map, just mark it, as you will know where to find it later on. I mark all of my ore deposits, I mark my houses. Always mark your house, because if you move your bed to a different position, the initial position of the bed is going to disappear. So anywhere you make a home, double click on the map and set it as a home so you know where to go back if you get lost. Now you have eaten and you have some tools. Next up is setting up the base. First thing you need is a workbench. The workbench itself has an area that can build in, but if you want to extend the area, just make more workbenches around and you are done. You can basically destroy them when you are done building, just remove the extra workbenches. It won't destroy anything, but you cannot fix or build in that area unless you have a workbench, but the placed items won't disappear. Also, the workbench itself won't work if you don't have a roof over it, and I do mean actual roof, not a floor or anything but roof. After that, make a bed close to the fire, obviously, and claim it. Beds serve as a spawn point, so every time you want to spawn next to a great biome you found, make a bed and claim it. But keep in mind that means you have to go back to your other bed to claim it back in order to spawn there. The game also has a fully working smoke effect, so yes, the smoke in this game can actually kill you and suffocate you. So when you're building a base and when you have a fireplace, keep in mind you have to build a chimney, and also that chimney has to have somewhat of a roof on it, because every time it rains and it actually goes, the water goes through the chimney, it's going to suffocate your fire. So you might want to build something above it for the smoke to go away. Maybe even make some windows, but having a chimney is the most recommended thing you can have in the game. Also, you had probably seen the comfort levels that appear as you play through the game or when you want to go near your workbench. Well, comfort represents everything which makes you rest in the game. So having a campfire, having some chairs nearby, having some home-based stuff is going to increase the comfort level in the game and hence give you a rested buff, which is also very helpful. So if you are wet, you go next to a fire, you're going to dry yourself and then you're going to rest there, and you will get a certain buff, which depending on the comfort level goes up in the time or that the actual buff is active. Now before we can do anything proper on the workbench, we also have to upgrade it, and to upgrade it you have to actually build these things close to it, like for example this wood block, and when you build close to it, it will link with the workbench and then it's going to increase its level. By building more of these things, you increase the level of the actual workbench, because that also allows you to upgrade the existing equipment you have. You can also fix stuff you build with a left mouse button, and most wood will degrade if it's not covered by a roof, so always think about that. And because there are physics in this game, you actually do need to have support structures in order for this building to stand and not completely be destroyed. But, it's not that scary, you can pretty much get around it. So as I said, the repairs you make to these buildings or part of the building, they're completely free, so it won't charge you anything. And other stuff, like every item you make, you can go back to your workbench and fix it for free by clicking this button. Just keep clicking until everything is fixed. Don't worry, it won't take anything out of your inventory, it will just fix the items. So that means once you make an item, and if it breaks, you don't have to make another item. You can just go back to your workshop, fix it, and continue working. Also, enemies do attack some stuff you build automatically when they are close, so making a small fence or a door would be nice. So besides the tools, also make a club to fight enemies at the beginning. Keep in mind, weapons have special attacks that do more damage but drain more stamina. Press middle mouse button to initiate a secondary attack. And always keep a close lookout on your stamina bar, because you don't want to be fighting a troll or anyone and you don't have any stamina, because you will need stamina to navigate your movements, to fight, and to run away if necessary. Regarding building, I recommend doing it in the Meadows at the beginning, because every few days you will have monster raids or these, events. And if you're in the Meadows, you will just have these greylings attack you, but if you're close to the dark forest, trolls attack you during that, so you have to choose who do you want to fight against at the beginning. It's better to fight greylings and grey dwarfs and not trolls at the beginning, trust me. But if you do want to fight trolls, don't be alarmed. Just get them out in an open position, get yourself some fire arrows and kite him. Because every time a troll is going to hit you and does his AoE damage, because he's going to do a lot of AoE damage, so don't get close to him. Don't try to fight the troll with your melee weapon. Just at start, use bow and fire arrows. So keep your distance and shoot him with a fire arrow. In the meantime, he is going to die. Just keep a distance, because if he hits you once, you're probably dead. At the same time, you have two types of trolls. The first one who has a club and the second one who throws stones, but at the same time, stones are a bit easier to maneuver, but again, don't let the troll get close. And he is going to be faster than you even though you run. don't be alarmed. Every time he wants to initiate an attack, he has to stop because the AI is done in that way and then attack. So you always have time to create distance and keep firing those fire arrows. Okay, now we have the base and some initial food. Time to hunt. First off, hunt these boars. They will give you meat and leather scraps, also a trophy sometimes. Keep in mind, you can also tame these boars and breed them like in Minecraft. You can just put food in front of them and they will be tamed and just circle them around with a fence. But I don't do that at the beginning. The area that I spawned in had a lot of boars and they do respawn, so it's not that big of a deal actually if you don't tame the boars at the beginning. But kill them because you will need their loot. Now we have some meat from them. Now we take the meat and put it on the cooking station we placed over the fire. Two things at the beginning will give you meat without a bow. You will have boars and necks, those lizards actually that live close to the water. They will give you their necks that you can also actually put on the fire to make food. But later on, of course, you will be hunting deers that will give you more food and more trophies. It takes 25 seconds for the meat to cook and you have to pick it up. If you don't, the meat will overcook and turn into charcoal, so pay attention when you cook these things. Now we hunted for boars and we have enough to make a crude bow, because you will need 10 wood for that and 8 leather scraps you get from boars. Make a bow and some arrows and then start hunting for a deer. Sneak up on it, don't get too close, and aim just a bit above the head and shoot, because the hitbox in this game and basically how the bow fires, it won't actually be on the same position it starts, so you have to aim above the head every single time. Keep in mind, you first have to charge your shot for maximum distance and damage. Bow can be a bit tricky to use at start and you might miss a lot of shots at the beginning, but no worries, a bow is your friend. It's gonna be your best friend through the entire game. Also the trophies, heads, the deer drops, keep those in your chest. We will need that for the first boss. So start farming deer to get their hides. Once you have it, go craft some armor, like leather tunic, leather pants and leather helmet. I believe each item is 6 deer hide. Now we will also make a flint spear by putting 5 wood, 10 flint and 2 leather scraps, and a wooden shield by putting 10 wood, 4 resin that you get from enemies you fight. So every single greyling you fight, etc, they're going to give you resin, and you will need resin for a lot of stuff later, so it's very useful, and 4 leather scraps. So now you have food, you increased your HP, your skills are a bit better, you have armor and you have a decent weapon. Now we will take the deer trophies, well 2 of them, and go back to the altar up there on the map that we actually marked. Make a bed near, of course, behind a fence or something, or a bit further away from the altar, because the boss is huge and the fight is gonna take a lot of space, so you don't want to build really close, but you don't want to build too far away because you want to spawn near the boss if he kills you. So we take those trophies and we put them in our quick slot and then press the button to spawn Eikthyr. He will spawn and now you have to fight. He's not too tough, but keep in mind he will chase you across great distances. Don't try to run. If you want to fight him, be prepared to fight him. Just have good food in your belly and keep your distance. At start, you can use bows, arrows, but also you can just get close to him, use your shield. Watch out for the AoE attacks he does, because you can actually just run away when he wants to do that attack. Go back to him, you know, do a couple of hits and then run away back and, you know, repeat the process until the boss is dead. Be careful about your stamina, always keep a bit in reserve so that you know, don't get hit by a boss. He won't take too much HP, but it can still hurt you. If some mobs appear during the fight, you know, take them out easily and proceed to fight the boss. The boss is not going to be that annoying, especially the first one. If you fail, you have to get 2 more trophies to summon the boss again, but you can just go back to the respawn, you know, and get your stuff back. It's not going to cost you anything. Now, once the boss has been defeated, you grab the head and the antlers he drops. You take the head to here, the starting location. You will actually put the head in. You will have the power of Eikthyr, which basically grants you 60% less stamina drain when you're running or jumping for 5 minutes. But be careful, there is a 20-minute cooldown on this, so use only when necessary. Once you have the antlers, go back home and make an antler pickaxe. Now you're ready for stones and copper ore that you can find in the dark forest. You know, you can get some copper. Also, in the Dark Forest, you have these dungeons, that's where you get surtling cores. And you will need these surtling cores to make a smelter in the first place. You can actually smelt the copper you got with coal, so you can actually get ingots. Of course, those dungeons are a bit dangerous, you can have some skeletons in, etc, etc, so just be careful once you go inside. But if you have your leather armor and if you actually have a spear and, you know, etc, etc, you can just go in, get some surtling cores, go back and make a smelter and charcoal kiln, so you can actually proceed with smelting that copper into actual, you know, ingots. And this is your beginner's guide. You know, this is kind of the first thing or the first act you have in the game. So make a base, get some food, get some equipment, fight the first boss, and then after that the game kind of opens itself up. Of course, after the Dark Forest you go into the swamps, after the swamps you go into the mountains, after the mountains you go into the plains, but it all takes time. Just you know, be careful and watch out where you are going, because everywhere you go you might run into a different biome and it might cost you, but don't worry, the biomes can be easily distinguished. And this was your beginner's guide. Feel free to explore, have fun in the game, always watch out where you are going and just be careful, and that's it. I will have more tips and tricks, especially the more advanced ones, very soon, so keep a lookout for that, subscribe and click that like button for more. Also share this video with your friends who are starting out in Valheim and need some beginner tips. This is LKM signing out. Thank you so much for watching. Check us out on Twitter and Discord, and I do have a Patreon page. If you were looking for an extra way to support the channel, you can do it through the link below, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and stay classy everyone. Bye bye.